Yeah, I need to go too.
Chris, good to see you again.
Great to see
Pedro,
You guys.
guys with your cameras off. So I don't know who you are.
Good meeting you, Cam. Good seeing everybody.
Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but Chris, you could definitely do that. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of the whole principle of the way we want to scale
No, I get
it.
it. I think there's a massive
That's
because you're filling a gap here.
100%. That's kind of the
networking
principle.
skills.
Is like, think about like for our club, for our boot camp, we would have all of the this could be for anything, not just, obviously we want to do it like that's where I have direct access to is these clubs and organizations here, but we want it to be like anything. Like eventually it would be like we spoke to JMU's alumni relations and we want to load in all of the alumni. Like we want JMU to have this massive database and you have all these things for people to pull from and actually do authentic networking and say if you were a part of an organization or something, you would have access into that. And you could also, if you wanted to still be connected to it, you could opt into doing a mentorship for someone that's currently in there or something like that.
There's a whole level of push that's here. And it's as simple as me saying, I'm a University of Rochester grad and I'm like, I'm looking at a job in this town or this bank. And then clicking and having the AI go through and say, here are all the networks within the University of Rochester alumni thing that you may have a contact to that have some connectivity here. It's cool. The Claude stuff is I use Claude and ChatGPT. I'm very deep in Claude.
Me as well.
I already asked CoWork if I give it access, can it go into my LinkedIn? Because they can't for their this already that
API
that the
LinkedIn
has them walled off. But I can give CoWork my Claude personal access to my stuff. It can take over my computer and my keyboard and go 100%. Look at LinkedIn. It just told me that it can scrape. So I say, okay, go get my network. I imagine I can tell it to go do that download.
100%.
So you could probably teach people to do that. Just say, hey, if you're already paying for Claude at $20 a month, I don't know how many college students are paying for this stuff yet.
Everyone.
Everyone's buying Claude. So great.
Everyone.
CoWork is ridiculous, right? On what
it's unbelievable.
Do. And say, okay, here, CoWork, here's my pipeline account, here's my LinkedIn account. I want you to do this and just have it all done.
100%.
So one of the problems you have is that the current just CSV dial, like asking people, it's not current, right? It's stale the second you do it.
It is 100%.
So there's got to be a way to make that live, and you can't do it with LinkedIn's current API with the way they're set up, but CoWork can. So there are workarounds or people. Anyone who's bad at networking is not going to go download their CSV files. Now, also, I'll tell you this: there's literally, and Jeff and I talk about this stuff forever, which is, and I have taught young consultants and people how to sell and do business development, and most of it is that the fear we have about reaching out to people is hard coded, right? It's tribal. We are 2 billion years ago, the human brain evolved to be part of small social networks, and we're geared to be part of a tribe and have status within it. Anything that breaks out of that and says, I'm going to go be part of another group, or anyone who's not in my group is a threat. Have you read anything about the imposter? Everyone calls it imposter syndrome. It's actually the imposter phenomena. That's what the researcher who defined it, and everyone tries to assume it's not a syndrome. It's just how our brains work. And everyone's brains work.
100%. I mean, that networking and building connections with people has always been something that I've thoroughly enjoyed, and that's the whole reason that I've created this is just because of that. I think that it's definitely developing your emotional intelligence. In my personal opinion, is more important than developing.
I'm gonna challenge. You're right. I'm not disagreeing. It's how you say that. And what I spent a lot of time trying to do is trying to get people to get to the point where you can say, this is why this is hard. This is why your brain is telling you not to network. You are tapping into some very old, very hardwired fears about status and groups and where we are, and our brains aren't good at it. And I have, it's my own personal thing, and I've been developing this for a while, is that you when you touch on something that sets that primal brain off. Have you read Kahneman, Thinking Fast and Slow?
Yes, Thinking Fast and Slow, yes.
Absolutely. System one process. This is all system one processing. And your brain goes, and so when you say, you need to develop your EQ. My brain is already going, whoa, that's something you're telling me there's something wrong with me, and I don't know what that means, and I'm going to shut this down as a fault in me. which is, what if I don't have the EQ? Everyone's got it. This is why it's like, this is why this is hard. This is why we don't do things we don't do. And this is what that's the power of networking, right? And the whole book, Super Networking, what it really does is it hijacks all that by creating a process out of it. Like, all right, and have you read it, Super Networking?
I have read Super Networking. I'm a big reader. I've read a lot.
Good. I don't mind. You're also young, so I don't have. I'm 60 years old. I've had time to read a lot more stuff. So that's great. So you get the thing I think that was really powerful in there, and we do this in the accountability. It's what our accountability group is. You're given the textbook. You're like, read this. This is what we're going to do every week. Is the building the professional profile. It's not a resume. Right? It's your goals. It's like when I go to a meeting with someone I've never met before, I can actually hand them one page that says, this is who I am. These are my skills. This is the companies I'm researching. And I want to come out of this meeting with you with 3 things you're going to do for me. I'm going to have 3 asks. You're going to introduce me to, and they might be specific people. You're going to introduce me to these 3 people in your network. That's fine. Or you're going to refer me to someone who can. Like that, I'm coming out of it with an actual plan. And I think that's what the power of this is not just saying, oh, I'm going to help you do networking better. It's like, no, we're going to teach you how. We're going to teach you why it's really hard. We're going to teach you what the steps are, and we're going to teach you and show you the steps to do that. When pipeline becomes that, and I can see it going there because I've already read the book. Like that action plan, right? Here's the job I'm researching. Here's my network. Here are the people. You're going to reach out to these 10 people, 20, whatever it is. And then I'm assuming you could also have an app that says, here's your schedule for doing that. You're going to send 3 emails tomorrow, right? Because everyone says like I can send out 20 emails a day. You can't, you don't.
You can.
It doesn't.
No, I learned that the hard way.
It does not work. You can tell yourself you have those goals. You cannot. You need to give yourselves much smaller pieces.
That's why we've tried to create the algorithm to basically do exactly what you're saying. Yeah. We want it to be very straightforward, and we want Pipeline to do the hard work. All you have to do is hit schedule that email and send it and get on the phone, and then you can thrive from there.
And I can give you all coaching tips on what I already said. The way I get that person on the phone to like me is to like them first.
Definitely. 100%.
I had 60 consultants and young people and old people. And I'm like, you know why you click onto the meeting 3 minutes early? Why you're the first one? So that when the first person from the company that you've never met gets on the call, you can ask them where they live, what the plant is behind them, like you can already look them up, where they went to school. You just ask questions of who they are and why they're there. They already like you. And then you're already talking. You're already just talking about life. And they like you. And then as other people join the call, they are joining a call where there's a friendly interaction already going on. And that's just a different level of
and that's the whole principle. When we were talking about like authentic networking, or he asked about that, like I think about that as like actually, not even just like me just getting on and be like, hey, like I want to work for you, can like give me a job. Like, I want it to be like, I want kids to be like, okay, like that's why we have it to where I don't know if you saw, but I pulled up that call prep sheet.
Yeah, no, I went through it too fast. And they're right about the demo of what it needs to be. So I'm thinking about this. If you want hard feedback on what your presentation to a new customer is, it is really, a good speech is tell people what you're going to tell them, then tell them what you told them. You don't have to tell them what I'm about to tell you.
Yeah,
this is what networking is. This is why it's hard. This is what Pipeline does. Page 1, boom. We solve that hard problem.
Yeah,
you can get into a second, which is you're all familiar with contact databases. You all have a spreadsheet. You all have LinkedIn. You all have something, and you're all familiar with job boards. What you don't have is the gap. How do you connect all that stuff? And that's what networking is. That's what your personal networking skills are. We're going to build those skills in you, for you, around you, like 100%. That. Boom. All right, now I get it. In 30 seconds, I now know where Pipeline sits. What they're going to help me do, right? And then I'm like, okay, now show me how that works. I don't really care how you don't need to show me how I build my database. Like you're going to say, hey, you already have a spreadsheet, you already have LinkedIn. We're going to load all your contacts. Not in the first 5. You're not going to walk through how that happens the first 5 minutes. You're going to just assume the intelligence of your audience, right? Anyone listening to your pitch already knows a lot of this stuff. They already have it. You don't need to tell them what LinkedIn is. You don't need to tell them what a spreadsheet is. You don't need to tell them what a contact list is. You're going to assume they're intelligent. You go, here's where I'm going to help you use what you have in a way that gets here. Here's the gap we're filling. right? Everything recurses back to this is the gap. Here's the value add. Here's the sub. That's why you're paying me $4 a month. And $4 is good start point.
And you know that's great feedback, because the thing is with these club partnerships, I'm going to go in after I build this data, like once I build with the people these database, I'm going to go into one of their meetings and I'm going to walk them through like them making an account, them how to get set up, how to pull contacts in, and give them goals and stuff. So it's good for me to work on like refining the pitch and stuff, because that's basically how am I going to sell them to actually.
So we're going to start it right here. That pitch, you're going to go into a club and you're going to sit down with them. And the very first thing you're gonna get to is, what problem do you have now? You got a database, you got a membership database. What's the problem? What is it not doing for you, the organization? Now, organizations are great because they really are their members, right? It's not like a customer, you're not trying to extract value out of your members. They already pay your dues. You're trying to provide them value, and you are the same thing. So what's the problem you're trying to solve? Problem is, you've got a database of contacts, but you don't have any networking, and your members aren't using it to network to your advantage and their advantage, which is your advantage. That's the problem we're going to solve. Boom, done. Then the details of how it actually works are less important than jumping to the output. All right, you get a member who comes in and says they want to do this is what they want to do. They're going to go into your pipeline system and say that, like you did, was cool. How are these people most effective? That was okay. More, it should be stated as a problem. I'm trying to find something about this job in these companies through this. How can you help me? Right? And then, the AI is really good at spitting out, well, in this network, here are 10 people who have either this job title or connect these companies. Here's a plan. Here's prioritizing them, like, because they're going to hit. But you already did it in your head, where their skills are, and then say, here's how you should reach out. Oh, and here's an email you might want to craft. Here are some things about that person that you might want to know. And you already know that the AIs already can do that and do it really, really well. So that's it. You've solved their problem. I've identified your problem. Here's my solution. Don't worry about the details as much. That's kind of like the appendix. That's the last 50 pages.
Yeah, I think sometimes I mean, I am young, and I still like get excited sharing it with people, because I mean, I did build
You did it. You built it. This is my baby. I built this thing. Let me show you how it works.
And so sometimes I like to there's so many different cool features, and I try to
don't focus on the problem solving and the value add. And then you're going to have a list of features and what you're already seeing in our conversation right now is that as we talk about the problems, you're like, oh yeah, it's got this feature. Oh yeah, it's got this feature. Oh, and you don't need to go then show it. You say, it's all there. And this is how it works. And then you show them an output. And you have a canned example of that basic problem they're trying to solve, which is, here's your member who wants to research X, Y, and Z across these people. Here's their report. Here's their action plan for tomorrow to go get this. And again, once they know they want it and they want that problem solved, all the details of how it works and what they're paying for come out.
Figure it out.
Yeah,
yep, 100%.
I'd be interested. They'll want to. This was the opposite, right? Like, we're going to walk to the demo. This is what this thing does. Networking. You didn't really define what networking is. We ended up arguing about that. Not arguing. We were talking about it. You do a good job of saying it's authentic relationship. The word authentic is tough because it's so big right now. And it's like, well, how do I be authentic? And what is authenticity? So it's kind of one of those, I feel like that's one of those words out there right now in the universe, which everyone's like, I have an idea what authentic is. Yeah. It's all almost like fake because we do use it in such fake terms.
Yeah. It's just, it's definitely like,
can I plant a bug in your head that I did to Jeff before I forget? Do not use the word honestly.
Interesting.
Because at one point someone said, you said, honestly, let me tell you, I have a problem. My brain stops. And I joke, pops in. I did this to Jeff because he does it too. I said, Jeff, please keep lying to me. Because if you have to tell me that you're now being honest,
I see.
What should I assume about the 20 minutes you just spent talking to me?
Yeah.
That might be a bug in my head, but it's not. It's also a bug in a lot of people's heads. It's one of those verbal tics. What it's doing, the heavy work that the word honestly is doing is saying, I'm going to tell you something uncomfortable. I'm going to tell you something that's a little bit out of the, I'm asking you to trust me a little bit about what I'm telling you. You don't need to.
That makes sense.
It's more like, hey, this is hard. Or this is counterintuitive. This is something that people don't think about, and get to it. But honestly, is one of those verbal tics. It's so comfortable for us to do it. And all we're trying to say is, all right, this is kind of an inside piece. I'm getting into something that I'm being a little bit vulnerable. Don't do it.
I think for sure that, the biggest thing that I can improve on in this role is like, I speak to so many different people of like so many different roles and stuff that it's sometimes I need to get better about being able to transition from like, okay, this is a pitch to like, a different demographic than the one that I just did, because when I'm talking to students, it's a lot different. My selling thing is a lot different than when I'm talking. You see what I'm saying? And the thing is, Pipeline's only been around. I mean, I created it, and Pipeline, I never even imagined it to go like to get to this. Right. And the thing is, we're only like this Pipeline's only been around 7 months, and we're just starting to like talk. I'm just starting to like try to sell it. Before it was like, oh, like, do you want to use it? Like, yeah, I'll send it to you. Now it's like, okay, I want to convince you to show you that, hey, I want to scale this out, and I want to become the thing that helps you. So I definitely.
Well, my first thing I really wrote down was slow down, because you're like me. You talk very fast. I talk fast. I'm excited. I'm passionate, and that can be challenging for people who don't know you, don't get like where you're coming at and everything. So I think there's 2 things you can do which are just remarkably powerful to start with, which is that problem statement. Like, this is not the word networking. I'll give you an example. I use the word sales. To me, because I've been doing it for 30 years, sales is 3 components. There's business development. That's creating relationships. I got to get to know the potential buyers. I'm going to create a relationship. And this is my business in consulting. My job was to create relationships with the C-suites of big banks and mid-sized banks so that I could bring in all my subject matter experts and sell their solutions in consulting, whether it was risk or compliance or fraud or AML. The first thing I needed to do is get to know the chief risk officer who oversees all that stuff. And he's got to trust me. So that's business development. Here's Chris Repetto. I'm going to know you, Mr. Chief Risk Officer. We're going to become close enough that you trust me to tell me your problems. You tell me your problem, I'm going to come back with a solution. And that's going to be one of my subject matter experts. That's sales. That goes from business development. I can't get to that point of getting the person in the room with you to sell until I have a relationship. Sales is the product piece. All right, you have a problem. We have a solution. There is a value chain there. We're going to share that. You're going to pay me to solve your problem. Then the 3rd piece is relationship management. That gets into, you're at the business development edge. My networking challenge is the relationship management side. I have lots of people like Chris at Jeff who I've known for years, but next week there's something new I want to do. And I need to tap into my already built network of people and use my relationships and manage that network to go in and go back and do a sale, right? So those are 3 distinct phases of what I call the sales value chain. Marketing is completely separate.
100%. And I completely agree with all that. And that's definitely like, that is kind of throughout the process. Like you've definitely been through more of that process. Right. Like it's definitely, a lot different, like in some regards of what
I would build that model for the word networking. Yeah. What are the components of networking? Networking is one, having a database of connections, right? That's building your potential list of people that I can then reach. Now that's step 1. And then step 2 is, reaching out to them on a problem. I need to close a sale, right? And then 3rd is after that's worked, how do I maintain that? So that's what networking is, right? So define that. And Pipeline has pieces of all that.
It definitely needs to be refined. I agree.
Yeah, because I don't think it's the data. I don't think it's the connections. I don't think it's the having that database of connections. It's the skill set that you need to do it, to create it, but it's not the actual doing of it. So you've got pieces there. I think you can lay this out as a model of what is networking. We all talk about networking. We use the word networking all the time. What does that mean? Why is it hard? What are the pieces? How do you do it? What's the hard part of doing it? Here's where Pipeline solves that problem. Blah, 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 blah. Like it all falls away in that structure. And then, of course, when you get to the problem of networking, which is not just having the database of contacts, how do you use it? How do you then go through these, either the sales or, in my vernacular, the relationship management piece?
Yeah.
That's the problem it's solving. That's really what it is. That's the engine of it. And that's where you're like, because like I said, you've got databases, job databases, contact databases everywhere. You're not going to replace LinkedIn. No,
we don't want to.
You shouldn't. And you're probably not going to replace, you're not going to replace Indeed, Handshake, all the other job boards. You're not, right?
That's not exactly.
Not the goal. There's no value there.
Goal at all. I think some people confuse it, but that's not our goal. That's why we're trying to the whole purpose of Pipeline, like a lot of people say, is I really want to build a good brand, if that makes sense. And I think that's one of the biggest components is also me to as a founder, I want to build the brand of okay, Cam is the networking guy, this is what he's developed, you know? So you see what I'm saying?
You're solving the hard problem. You're like I said, anyone can build a database of contacts or jobs. The hard part is, how do you do the hard thinking and prompt and support the work that individuals have to do? That's the thing you've solved. That's the problem you're solving. And that's why every time you talk to people, this market gets bigger, right? Because you're going to see that skill set is that you have leaned into personally doesn't exist for people, a lot of people, and at every level. And I can tell, and I will actually tell you that it gets, because of the power of the imposter phenomenon. As people become more senior in their roles, as you become higher status within the tribe you're in, it's the risk of losing that status is actually higher psychologically.
Makes sense.
So if you're in a room with a bunch of senior executives, it's so easy to set off that fear-based thing by asking questions that sound like they should know them, but they definitely don't know them. And I can do this. I do this actually all the time with people. And I'm now skating it ahead. I'm like, I'm going to turn on the imposter phenomenon in you. I did it to Chris Odlefson. He was the CEO of a $25 billion bank. I started asking him some basic questions in a way that no banker does. And they were like, holy shit, I should have seen this before. How did I miss this? And I can turn people off. You have an ability, and this is where you're tapping into these things, these fear-based elements of what prevents people from doing this. Why do high school kids not walk up to a crowd of people they don't know and introduce themselves? It's mortifying, right? Being that girl in middle school, who is outside the clique. Could you imagine anything more terrifying than having to walk up and be like, hey, I want to be your friend?
Yeah, I agree.
And that's all. Way system 1, 2 million years of status and tribes and fears that tap into our actual.
And it's so, and for me, it's definitely that's why I love networking so much, is because I'm so unbelievably fascinated by the way that our brain works, and I study it so unbelievably much. And I think that is truly the reason that I love it so much, is because I feel like almost I'm analyzing, what is going through someone's brain. When I'm you see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I get it. I listen, I live it. And I'm, trying to, and I'm late to it. I didn't figure this shit out until I was in my late 50s. I knew how to do it. So I was always good at sales, right? I was always good at picking up the phone call like you and networking with people. And I can naturally do it because I'm generally curious. And I also have part of it is a really strong ego. That I know that if I meet someone for the first time, I'm going to end up in a 98% of the time, they're going to end up liking me. I know that's true. And that's a really strong ego, which gives me the ability to go do it, right? There's never been really downsides to doing it. So, but other people don't have that. You developed it early. I don't know how, if you and I can figure out how you developed it at a young age versus other people, even in your family, that's the gold mine of
I know. That's honestly the whole purpose of if we could tap it. It's just such a huge market. If we could tap into a way to truly really define that problem, make people understand it, and then help them solve that in their own brains.
I think you can. I think we're doing it now. I think I've done this recently, and this is really interesting. Things happen for a reason. And Jeff knows me. There's a reason Jeff asked me to be on his board, and he and I talk all the time. Is that I think you can. I think when you can tell people why it's hard, why does your brain not want to make new connections, or what is the existential fear that gets kicked off when I walk into a room with a new group? like that, if you can get people, you explain that early on, and that people understand what their brain is doing. Like, that's why reading Kahneman was so freaking enlightening for a lot of people. It's like, oh, that's what my brain is doing. That's why I'm not, I'm shutting down, because it never gets from system 1 to system 2. You can translate that into the networking language. Jeff knows this. This was the CEO of the consulting company that we both worked at, and I was on a call with, there's 150 of us. And the CEO was really, really good. She was wonderful. And at one point, because she was able to express some vulnerability for someone who that senior, then, a KPMG senior consultant, CEO of a company, we're on a call, and she's like, a friend of mine, a personal family friend, just joined as chief risk officer of Bank XYZ. And she's like, I feel really uncomfortable, like sending my personal friend an email to talk about business. And I was like, okay, why? Let's tap into why. Like, well, you're afraid that this person's going to think of you as being transactional and that you're going to lose your status with it. It's very frightening. And I said, okay, let's just flip it around. He just joined a new job. If he called you for advice on how to do his job better, would you think less of your friend or more of your friend? She's like, I'd think more of him. I hope he does that. I'm like, why aren't you thinking that about this? You're about to call someone who took a new job, and you're going to say, hey, help me unpack how I can help you to be better at your job. That's all you're doing.
What clicks in my brain when you say that is it's almost like, hey, let me not think about it from my perspective. Let me think about from their perspective of me reaching out to them. Yep. And I feel like that could almost solve like some of the students and these people's fear is like, if you just took a step back, like if Python was like, look, take a step back. This is what this person is going to like expect, or this is what this person is going to, this is how you wow them. This is like, you see what I'm saying? Almost.
Yeah, I get it. Listen, I did it. I don't know. You were busy presenting and running the meeting. I did that to Chris Odlison. Almost when he said, well, what is this good for me? Why would I want to be taking Cam's call? And I'm like, well, because Cam's going to reach out to you and say, hey, I'm a student. I'm learning this. I saw the success you did. I saw what you did really good and well at, and I'm trying to learn what I can. Can I pick your brain? And you're going to respond to that and say, yeah, I was the CEO of a bank, and I really would love to hear from this kid tell me how great I am. You're like, your brain's doing that. He's not saying that. So like there is a natural desire to be networked to by people who are genuinely looking for your experience.
And also it makes you feel better. Like, I mean, it feels good to have someone reach out to you.
It's good to help. The other thing that people do not get, and I don't know how you're going to use this, but you're going to figure out a way to do it, is there's no downside to reaching out to someone you don't know. Zero.
There's no downside at all.
We're afraid of it. It's petrifying. It's mortifying for all kinds of evolution biologists you can talk to. But the fact of the matter is, you don't have a relationship with this person now. There is zero interaction. The absolute worst outcome is at the end of this, there is zero interaction.
Yep, 1,000%.
I tell a story. Feel free to use me or it. I was a bond salesman. My first 18 years, I was in Wall Street. So I had to call people and create races and sell them bonds. A customer of mine, because someone I knew, someone I'd done business with, and I liked. He went to a different bank. I went to a different broker dealer, and it was a new small broker dealer that his firm didn't have a relationship with. And I know that's hard because he's got to turn on a new provider, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And I'm reaching out to him, and he stopped returning my phone calls. Wouldn't return my emails. Wouldn't return my calls. And I get it. It happens. It's like he put me in the box of, I work at a bank that doesn't want to add new broker dealers. Chris is at a new broker dealer. I can't add him. Whatever. Sure. There's a reason. I get it. So he's busy. Was he wrong not to respond to me personally? Yes, he was. Doesn't matter. But it happened. So one day I just drove to his office in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And I talked my way through the security desk because I'm in a suit and tie. I'm an old white guy. And that's really easy to do. And I went upstairs and I went to his reception desk and I said, oh yeah, I'm here for my meeting with blah, blah. And they're like, oh, he doesn't have it in his calendar. I'm like, well, I'll wait in the conference room and let him know. They went and found him. They said, Chris Repetto's here for your meeting. I had no idea what was going to happen. I was fucking like sweating. I'm like, this is weird. I've never done this before. And he walked in. And he's like, Chris, I didn't know we had anything scheduled. I said, Mike, we didn't. But you're not returning my calls. You're not returning my emails. So here I am.
That's awesome.
And he And I didn't know that. He sat down, he took his glasses off, he rubbed his eyes, and he went, "I'm so sorry. That was wrong of me not to return your calls. Let me explain what's going on." The story it's a good story. It's exciting. It gets people interested. I had no downside.
No,
I throw me out. I was right where I was.
Yeah,
and in fact, even then I would have an opportunity to be like, yeah, I talked my way into your office because you're not returning my phone calls. Like, what's going on here? And it worked. But again, zero downside for bold efforts.
Definitely.
Our brains we think of the downside of something going wrong as us dying. Literally. That's what the brain does. It evaluates threats.
I almost want to grow pipeline, but these boot camps are where we can teach this stuff.
Yes.
Like these boot camps are a great outlet for us to teach these things to these people.
How do you teach this through the app without having to get someone to sign up and pay for a boot camp?
Yeah.
Eventually what you want is people paying $4 a month. Yeah. That's what your goal is. Yeah, well, 100%. No, your goal is to teach people how to network and create a value chain that's worth a hell of a lot more than $4 a month so that they're happy. So it's a win-win. So you're winning, they're winning, and Pipeline's winning, and the world is winning because they're better networkers, right? There's a win-win-win-win. That's the value chain you're trying to create. So let's focus on the end game. The end game is having 1 billion people on your platform or giving you $4 billion a month. How many people on LinkedIn? I don't know. None of them are paying for it. That's the hard. Once you ask someone to pay for it, it becomes a whole different game. But you can prove the value, right? That's the thing. So your goal is not to get people at boot camps. Your goal is to teach them how to network to see the value of that. If a boot camp is a great way to do that, fine. But the goal, what you need, first of all, you need to get people on the app, downloading it, signing up, creating an account so that they know about the boot camps, right? Or you can provide it another way. Here is what this site is going to do for you. It's going to teach you how to network, and here's why that's hard, and this is why people are bad at it, and here's the gap between da da da. We've walked through the value chain. Can you provide that? Can there be webinars where people just click and say, I want to watch a video on what networking is and what a personal profile is versus a resume? How do I create a skills-based, not an experience-based resume? Right? We have that's where executives get to. Executives problem. And I literally I'm talking to a guy about being the CFO at a bank on Wednesday. And I sent him an email and I said, I'm happy to send you my resume. It'll tell you my experiences. It can't tell you who I am. And I wrote that in an intro. And he actually responded very positively. He's like, I love the way you put that. That's why I want to meet. Yeah, I can see what you did. Right. And I was on another job I was talking to the recruiting, some very, very senior level, executive recruiters. They started their own firm. They deal at the C-suite level. And I had gotten referred to a job and they had my resume. And usually when you get on these recruiting calls with a searcher, they're trying to, the map they're trying to build is they can read your experience. They're trying to figure out your skill sets, your leadership, your passion, your authenticity, Are you a good cultural fit for the place you're going? Definitely. And I said that to the woman before I let it go down the old CDI, which is tell me about a time you had an employee who was unhappy. Yeah. Or tell me about a problem. And they're just trying to get you to tell a story about yourself and what you did and then have these things come through, which is fine. It's better than the experience list. Well, I was the CFO of this and I did that and I did that. Everyone does that. It's good. But what I did was I told her, I said, hey, before we start, can I flip this around? I want to ask you a question. And I said what her name was. And I said, you got my resume. You got my, what jumped out? Why did you respond? And she responded to me like in less than a day. It was like 18 hours from when my resume went in that she responded back for a call. I said, that was really fast. Like, what was it about my cover letter, my resume, or something? What jumped out about me that you want to talk about? So I turned it around and had her say that. And she gave a couple of milk toast. Like, she's like, I like your experience as a consultant. Great. So you think my consulting experience will line up with this job? Excellent. She's like, you got referred to someone. I'm like, great. That's a personal. I've already got someone says this guy should be good at this job. And then I said, all right, here's what I think. And I did this. I turned it around to the perspective. I said, I think the problem you're trying to solve. You're trying to figure out if this guy, Chris Repetto, who you have now 45 minutes to an hour to talk to, is a cultural fit, a personality fit, and does he have the skill sets for this job? And me as a recruiter, my job is to put a very, a credible slate of candidates in front of the CEO. And I said, you're trying to figure out if I should be on that list. And here's the question. And she actually responded in a way I wasn't expecting. And she said, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. And thank you. Thank you for understanding what I'm trying to accomplish. And I'm like, boom, let me help you solve your problem. Let's work on this together. And then we had a conversation about who I am in my career. And I'd already teed up that I was trying to solve her problem for her, what she needed to get out of this, what I was trying to get out of this, and let's do it together and we'll answer all these questions. And it was amazing. And then less than a day, she was introducing me to the head of her firm for the next level. And I did the same thing with him. So this idea of there's always, sorry if I'm going on, if you don't want me to shut up, just I can.
No, this is awesome. This is great.
There's always two problems people like recruiters are trying to solve, right? Everyone's trying to solve. When you work for a company, you're trying to build a company. You're trying to solve the pipeline company problem, which is how do I build this app that you're also trying to solve the Cam Lynch problem, which is what do I want to do with my life? What makes me interested and how do I get paid so I can have food and a place and clothing? And after that, we'll worry about the other things. So there's two problems you're always trying to solve. So on the other end of networking or sales or anything is like, okay, how do I solve this person's the business problem? If I've gotten good enough, close enough to them that they're actually going to tell me the problem they're trying to solve, then I can say, I can intuit and twist it around in their perspective. All right, what problem is this guy trying? Is he the treasurer and he wants to be the CFO? Does he hate his current CFO? Is he in trouble? Is this a problem he's solving because he created a problem, or does he really have an opportunity to solve something with banks? So always taking that perspective of the problem you're trying to solve for the people you're going into. And this speaks directly to when you sit down with the board, the clubs and their database.
Yeah.
What problem are they trying to solve? Here's what I think it is. Open with it. Here's the problem I think you're trying to solve. I've heard it enough. I've talked to, you already said it. I love the way you did that, by the way. You're like, I've talked to a number of clubs. Every single one of them has said they have this problem. So I think you have this problem. Here's how I'm going to help you solve it. Then the conversation is no longer about who is pipeline and who is this kid trying to demo me some functionality. It's, I got a problem to solve. Here it is. He's got the solution. I'm in. So life, that's how it works.
100%.
When you meet people, get to know what their issues are. And then you're trying to really, if you can solve both those problems, well, if you can't solve the ultimate problem, what that person is trying to get for themselves out of their job and their thing, then it doesn't matter what you're selling.
Yeah, no, 1,000%, Chris. And I have to run in a second. But
if you want to talk more, you're right now. Actually, this week sucks because I'm literally moving out of this house.
I was about to ask maybe the following week if you want to. Do you want to schedule a call? For, like I could send you and we could schedule a call.
Just send me a few times. Oh, if you can integrate in your app, and even Outlook sucks at doing this. I have 10 Outlook email accounts. And Jeff has this problem too, because he's got 3 or 4 different personal accounts and his work accounts. And when we want to schedule time together, I know that there are apps. Calendly is meant to do that, to go to my calendar and then send out, here are my available times. They all suck. You solve that problem with AI and Claude and Cowork. You've got an app that people will absolutely embed.
What basically like here, like all my.
I need you to look at all my Outlook calendars, and my Apple calendar, which might be my personal and my wife's calendar, my kids' calendar, where I'm really being told where I need to be, and actually generate. Here are 4 hours over the next 3 days that I'm available, and you send that out because right now I just asked you to send me your available times. And what are you going to do? You're going to go into your Outlook calendars. You're going to go check your calendar, and you're going to type an email.
What if Pipeline basically had access to it and they could basically be like, okay, in the email where an auto drafted, it tells you here are my times.
Here's a little grid. Here are my times, and that awesome. The connectivity that against all my personal shit is the most important thing, because 100%. I tell you, I might be a little bit farther out on the wide range of having lots of business emails just because I'm on 2 boards and I'm working with my own company and I have old ones, I probably have, but I think if you can solve it for 3 Outlook accounts, you can solve it for 20.
Definitely.
And if you can solve it for 1 Outlook account and 1 email, like Mac email or 1 Microsoft or whatever,
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's
Yeah.
a super great idea. And I think that would be awesome for sure. And like I said, I'll send some times and we can follow up next week because I want to pick your brain. I also want to get like your ideas. Like we talked a lot about, like I think we think on the same wavelength of like actually solving like the mental problem of doing it. So I want to get your feedback. I want to get your feedback on like the actual like what could Pipeline do about that? You know what I'm saying? Like I want to talk more about that.
I can tell you easily. Let's do it. Set up time and send it to me. But I'll tell you right now, the biggest block where people fall, where they don't get to it, is literally writing the email to send to someone to say, I'd like to set up time to talk to you about X. Here are my times. Here are, you know. So, and AI is really good at it. You can if you can do it better and say, and have it, it's like, here's the email. All you have to do is press send. That's it. The punchline of that conversation I was having with the CEO in front of a call, I said, Linda, press send.
Yes, definitely. That's the hardest thing.
That's the answer to the question. If you're questioning whether I should send this email, the answer is press send. And I really might want to put that on my headstone.
Yeah, definitely. I like that. I like that a lot, Chris. Well, it was great connecting, Chris.
Yeah, no, it's good to meet you. It's really it's a huge world, huge space. And if you can actually get, I mean, you're already seeing the test cases. So let's keep talking.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna send you this email right here. Fine, the one that.
Which one is this?
Let's see. Yeah, that's how you know.
I think it's my Christopher.Repetto at Gmail.
Let me check real quick. It's the let's see, where are you? I'll check it. You're
already figuring out your next app. I'm on a call with someone. What email should I use to go get back to them? We have to dig through this shit. I do it all the time. I have to go back to like Outlook meetings that people send to me, and I got to dig through and find the email of the person.
It's terrible, dude.
It's all there. It's all there. It's all just time and clicking and trying to figure it out. And we have the tools for that now.
I know. And then we're in the early stages too. It's only going to get better. So, I mean.
Yeah. Well, I'm on the very frightening part of where I'm actually granting cowork access to my computer. So it can click and pull up a website. I have done that as well. Read stuff that's already done. And I'm like, oh, this is Skynet shit when it can take over my computer and start running it. So I'm being I'm probably not being as careful as I should.
Yeah.
Because my bank account is also on that same computer.
They're going to be, you're going to see some Claude cowork charges.
Yeah, I'm so waiting for that to be the problem to be the issue. But again, you're right. The answer is there. I use the example of in the whole gun control thing, but I'm like, a kitchen knife is the most dangerous thing on the planet. But we don't regulate them, and we don't force people to get licenses to use kitchen knives. So we might want to regulate people's use on AI. You might have to get a license to do this. Cool. You learn how to use. Like, I can't drive my car without a license. I can use a kitchen knife without a license. There's a middle ground.
I agree. Well, Chris, it was great to meet you, man.
All right, man. I enjoyed it. Be good.
Yeah.